It started on a rainy Friday evening, the kind that makes everything feel a little more dramatic than it really is. I had just gotten off work, exhausted and weighed down by the storm clouds above and within. My name is Melissa Carter, and for the past 2 years, I've been stuck in a loop, working long hours at a marketing firm, coming home to an empty apartment, and watching reruns of cooking shows I never actually tried to follow. My life was fine, safe, predictable. Until that night. I had been invited to a housewarming party for my coworker, Brianna. She was fun, loud, and always full of life, the kind of person you wanted around at every event. I almost said no. I didn't want to socialize. But something made me say yes. Maybe it was the boredom. Maybe it was loneliness. Or maybe it was fate trying to steer me somewhere else. The moment I stepped into her cozy, candlelit home, the smell of something warm and spicy greeted me. Laughter filled the air. People were dancing, talking, enjoying themselves. I kept to a corner, sipping on a glass of wine, when I noticed him. He stood near the kitchen island, tall, relaxed, confident. His name was Ethan Brooks, and the moment our eyes met, I felt something shift. We were introduced by Brianna herself. "Melissa, this is my cousin Ethan. He just moved back from Chicago." He reached out, his fingers brushing lightly against mine as we shook hands. His touch was warm, deliberate. He smiled, eyes deep and knowing, and said, "Nice to meet you. You're the one who did that campaign for the Mountain View brand, right?" I was surprised. "Yeah, that was me." "I loved that campaign," he said. "It had real heart." From there, the conversation just flowed. It was easy, natural. He wasn't trying to impress me. He didn't even flirt. He just talked, asked questions, listened, shared little pieces of his life. I learned he'd moved back to care for his father, who was recovering from surgery. He was a photographer, freelance mostly, and had a way of observing people like he was capturing their story in his mind. As the evening wore on, people danced, the music got louder, and the crowd thinned. I was about to leave when I felt a gentle touch on my wrist. His fingers wrapped around my wrist, guiding me, not forcefully, not urgently, just enough to make me pause. I turned to find him standing close, eyes searching mine. "Don't go yet," he said. "Come out to the balcony with me." Something in his voice, soft, earnest, made me follow. We stepped into the night air, the city lights blinking in the distance, the rain now reduced to a soft drizzle. We stood there for a moment, silence wrapping around us like a blanket. I looked out, not at the view, but at the way the streetlights danced off the wet pavement. "Do you ever feel like you've been sleepwalking through life?" he asked. I looked at him, surprised. "Yes. Every day." He smiled sadly. "I used to, too." And just like that, we began to talk, not about the weather or work or shallow things, but about real stuff. Our fears, our disappointments, the things that kept us up at night. It felt like opening a journal that had been locked for years and finding someone reading the same entries. At one point, a sudden gust of wind swept through, and I shivered. Without saying a word, Ethan shrugged off his jacket and wrapped it around my shoulders. I should have protested, but I didn't. His hand brushed against mine again, and this time, when his fingers curled gently around my wrist, I didn't just follow, I leaned into it. He guided me back inside, but instead of rejoining the party, we found ourselves seated on the living room floor, a forgotten vinyl record playing something soft and nostalgic in the background. Time slipped by, without us noticing. Hours, maybe. It felt like minutes. Eventually, people began leaving. Brianna shot me a knowing smile as she passed. Ethan stood and reached for my hand again. "Let me walk you to your car," he said. Outside, the rain had stopped. The air smelled fresh. Clean. As we reached my car, I fumbled for my keys, reluctant to say goodbye. "I'm glad you came tonight," he said. "Me too." He hesitated, then took a small step forward, close enough for me to hear his heartbeat. He reached out, his fingers wrapping softly around my wrist one last time. "I know we just met, and this might sound forward," he said, "but can I see you again?" There was no hesitation in my answer. "Yes. Please." And so it began. What started as a gentle touch that night turned into weeks of connection. Dinners, walks, late-night conversations. The kind of love that grows slowly and deeply, rooted in respect, vulnerability, and presence. Ethan taught me to slow down, to see beauty in the mundane. He'd take pictures of ordinary things, coffee cups, shoes, wilted flowers, and make them look extraordinary. And in return, I showed him how to ground himself when he got lost in his head. One evening, months later, we sat on my couch watching an old film. My head rested against his chest, and his arm was around me. He reached down again, gently taking my wrist in his hand. "Remember the first time I did this?" he whispered. I smiled. Of course. That night changed everything. He kissed my forehead and said, "That night, I was just guiding you to a balcony. I had no idea you'd end up guiding me back to life." And in that quiet moment, I realized something. Sometimes, all it takes is a single touch, not to possess, not to pull, but to gently guide you back to yourself. What we built was never flashy or rushed. It was a collection of quiet moments, each one anchoring us closer. We went to street festivals, visited his dad on weekends, watched thunderstorms from the safety of his living room window. He would photograph me in my quietest moments, always saying he loved how I looked when I wasn't trying. I began writing again, journaling thoughts I hadn't faced in years. He read some of them, only the ones I allowed, and always responded with care. One night, as we walked along the boardwalk, he stopped abruptly and turned to me. His hands found mine, and he asked, "Do you think this could be forever?" I felt it before I said it. I think it already is. That winter, he proposed in the most Ethan way possible, quiet, intimate, under a snowfall with just us and the hum of city lights. His fingers found my wrist again, guiding me as he knelt, sliding a simple ring on my finger with shaking hands and teary eyes. "Every time I touched your wrist," he said, "I was trying to find a way to hold on without pulling you too hard. I wanted you to choose to stay." And I did. I always would. That gentle grip, that silent ask for trust and closeness, became the most powerful expression of love I'd ever known. His fingers had wrapped around my wrist, not to control or capture, but to say, "I'm here. If you're willing, let's walk together." And I never let go.